Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines. Let's learn to play. I'm going to continue right off where I left off last time in developing my new circular city design. You do remember this part of the city. This is the old part of the city. It still has a little bit of a problem with worker shortage. I had zoned some new areas over here, and I'm hoping that once they get filled up, these buildings will get some more workers. Now moving on to the new part of the city, I have noticed that I am having that problem with the lack of workers because once I zone these buildings as residential, they do very fast build these buildings. And then I go and build more industry and so on. But the problem is, it takes a while for these buildings to actually have people living in them. So you have to give it some time for the Sims to actually move in. You can see here where you see the population tab and then you see the weekly change. So you have to give it some time for that weekly change to go down, which means that the people have stopped coming to your city and they are moved in. I believe that this shows you how many are coming in at the moment, and it means they are not settled yet. Once they're settled, they become part of this number and they are going to be your workers. But until then, you have to give it some time and simply let your residential areas breed, so to speak, so that they get their actual sims in there and they can start working. And only then you build up more industry, because industry, like the homes, builds up as soon as you zone it, if you have the demand, and then right away they want workers. But if your workers have not moved in yet, there's nobody to work, and they start telling you we need more workers. Again with the death here. No, I think this is the same death from the previous episode, and the hearse has finally picked up the person. Excellent. So it's working properly. The services are kind of covering all these areas. I did have a problem with services not covering the last ring, so I added a few of these roads here that go and connect the last few rings, because the roads ahead were connected them by but at a long distance. So I added a simple road here and a road here, and probably will add a little bit of road to each of these outer rings to connect them closer. And now the school has access through this road to the last of these rings. I did have to build another elementary here. Already have two, because the first one had reached its maximum in the last video, and now this one is also at the maximum. So if I want to have more Sims living here, I definitely need more schools. Now you might think that two schools seem to be a rather large number compared to the amount of zoning here, but remember, these are high density zoning. These buildings are high density buildings, and they have households numbering in the 15 to 20, while these homes have only 4 at maximum. So there are a lot more people living here, which requires more schools. Now that I have this one school here and this one school here, I will put the new one over here. And I will zone some more residential in here as well. In this ring I have the high density residential, and up here I have my low density residential. And as for the rest of the services, the single police station seems to be operating properly. The fire station does not cover everything anymore, so I will definitely need to invest in a new firehouse. Let's say one here should be able to deal with any issues. Yep. And the clinic seems to, well, it doesn't really have the range for these guys over here from all the way here. So I will probably need to add a clinic here as well. The cemetery and the crematorium, which I unlocked in the previous video, do seem to cover these areas rather well. I have to just check this. I seem to have 18 trucks here. The 15, I think, is the default number of garbage trucks per a landfill, but because I have my budget for these services raised to 125%, I have 18 trucks per a landfill site. I'm burning the trash that I gather here, and hopefully for now I do not have to build up more of these. You will notice, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, that the roads that I'm using are simple two-lane roads. Now, you may say, how am I expecting to have high density residential and industry and just use two-lane two-way roads? But for now, it seems to be working. Once I fill up the entire ring, we'll really going to test this design and see if I was a fool to use just the two lanes. I kind of like the two lanes because they do have intersections with traffic lights, and there aren't even stop signs, so the traffic naturally flows through them. That is the reason why I had given up thinking to make this circular design out of the 4 lanes and 6 lanes, and what I'm doing at the moment is upgrading the simple 2-lane roads to 2-lane roads with trees. This is because those trees reduce noise pollution created by traffic. As you can see right here, you see the red is going away because of the upgrade to the road. So as soon as you upgrade the road to a road with trees, it reduces the noise pollution that was being created from the traffic. And because I love my sims, as they're called, I don't know if you know, the guys that made this game made the game Cities in Motion, and over there their agents were called sims. It's a C, not a S, so I'm trying to get used to the idea of calling my citizens sims and not sims. If I do sometimes say sims, you know what I meant to say. Okay, almost done with the upgrades. You only pay the difference when you are upgrading, so if this road costs 40 per cell and this one costs 60, you pay only 20 per the cell. In the previous video I had made this as industry central, and I had used the policy for the smoke detectors to reduce the chances of these buildings catching on fire, while in the high density residential I had used recreational use of drugs, recycling, and a pet ban to reduce the garbage that gets created. And in these last areas that are the low density residential, I am going to create another district, but this one is just going to have recycling, and I'm not going to ban pets for people who live in homes that have yards, because that would be just cruel and stupid. I want to let my people who have homes that are a good place for pets to have pets. If you have a pet in a building that is... Whoops, what am I creating here? That was really stupid. Okay, let's fix this. If you have a pet in a high-rise building, I don't think that's very nice to your neighbors, and therefore I banned that in my city. Have I increased the size of these things? No, I haven't. I could. Maybe I should use a smaller tool after all. There we go. And here as well. Now you might be wondering, why am I not using the ban heavy traffic in my areas? It is because I have this cargo train terminal in the middle of the industry, which is handling all the industry's imports and exports. And even with all this industry here, there does not appear to be too much traffic going in and out of this building. The roads may require an upgrade here if I see that there is simply too many cars or trucks at the same time, but for now it seems to be quite lovely. I do have an increased need in commercial, and because I had so little commercial buildings here, and I even lost some of them because of the low demand, I'm going to first return here and see if I can add some low density commercial in these areas, and only then will I go back to my second part of the city and develop some more commercial over there. The parks seem to be the culprits for reducing the commercial demand in cities. It has been confirmed by the developers that they are going to look into it, so expect a fix if they see that that's actually the problem. Okay, that should handle that. Do I still need more workers here? What? A lack of power? Really? Whoa, I'm finally hitting my maximum amount of power I can get. 250 from the hydro So I will have to add some of these advanced wind turbines over here. 20 megawatts. That should increase the electricity production to 341. That's still only a little bit in the green. And perhaps one more to future-proof the development of my cities. Alright, so power should be back on. Still some abandonment issues with the buildings, probably because I didn't have enough workers. I can take a look over here. Unemployment is just 4%. I had at one point 22% seniors. I'm now at 18%. I'm not sure do seniors work. If you guys know if the seniors work or not, I would love to find out. Oh, my demand is going up and up, and I haven't really made too much progress up here, so I'm going to keep zoning. Alright, do I want some high density commercial here? Yes, I do. A little bit of here, a little bit. Why are these zones so huge? Interesting. I'm going to go with just 3 here. Okay, that should cover it for now, and to expand a little bit over here as well, since I have the new services here. Now I want to keep this area a little bit clear because of the services, so that they have an easier exit from the buildings. I think one of these is this is a school, this is a firehouse, and this is a clinic, so I want them to have an easy way to get out of there. So I have one zone right next to them. I will just build a park here. Okay, and now to add a little bit of low density residential. There we go. And to finally add some more offices and industry. There we go. Now, like I told you in my previous videos, the industry seems to benefit actually from having leisure places, leisure activities that considered are parks and plazas. So it's actually not a too bad idea to have a park close by to the industry. So I might give them a small park here. Because they do seem to benefit. I'm not entirely sure how exactly does it benefit them. What is the boost? Is it that they upgrade faster, or are they happier because of it? But in any event, this shows that they have high accessibility if they are closer to the blue, and that is supposed to somehow affect them in a positive way. I'm not sure exactly how. If you guys know, please tell me in the comment section. I have decided what to do with the offices. Do I want to include them in the industrial district, or just leave them without a district, or add them in the residential district? So for now I'm going to leave them here. If you guys also have any ideas about that, I will gladly listen to that. I can probably add some more high density commercial in here as well. And maybe over here one. Okay. If you haven't noticed from my previous videos, my taxes are at 10, 9, 11, and the offices pay 11 as well. And because the residential in the high density have been at the default, I'm going to raise them up to 11, as well as for the high density commercial, I'm going to raise it to 11, because I want to increase my income so that I can get some more power and water buildings as they become necessary, and I will most likely need more of these incinerators and landfills up here because I'm developing this area more and more. I'm not sure centralizing this would be the greatest idea because they would just be coming in from the same point all the time. So I'm thinking to get another one somewhere like away from my pumps, that's for sure. Let's say in here. I would need a road anyway. Like I told you before, I need to connect these big strings with a little bit of road. So let's say I connect this here, pull this road up to here, and get myself a new incinerator and a new landfill right here. This incinerator is now connected to the grid. It will produce power for me. This one I had not connected yet, but as I do need more and more power, I am going to connect it. I just need to get the last of these zones filled so that I can connect it back to back with these zones. There we go. Once these things are here filled, this will be connected through the zones with the power grid. I do have more industrial demand, but like I said before, I'm going to wait for the number of sims moving in to go down a little bit, that I know that they have moved in, and once I know that they have moved in, then I will make sure to get more industry. I stopped for a second because I was wondering why this name was here. It was my new district, which I forget to rename. I am going to call this one Pandemic. As you know, this one is called Westwood and this one is called Pandemic. These are studios close by EA, and I wanted to honor them with naming my districts by them. Here the policy for recycling, so that I reduce a little bit of the garbage accumulation. As I said in my previous video, I do plan to get here some public transportation if the traffic gets out of hand. That could involve buses or metro stations, but as I haven't filled up the entire area yet, I will hold off on that. What is going on here? These people do not have water. Oh right, because my water connection isn't. Congratulations, Grand City, 20,000, and solar power plants have been unlocked. Excellent. I will gradually need those very soon. Like I was trying to say, my water utilities are not connected, and therefore, even though I have extra water, this area here does not, because it is supplied only by one of these pumps, while this area is supplied by 2 and even 2 water towers. So in order to use the full water capacity, I am now going to connect these 2 areas. And now this area over here will have access to the capacity from over here as well. And it will be easier for me to know, do I need to add more capacity or not, because all the areas are using the same network. Up until now, I had this area use its own network, and this area used its own. The power networks are connected through the dam. One side goes over here, the other side goes this way. This thing does not seem to have any garbage yet, and it's not producing power. This one is producing a little bit of power because this thing hasn't yet filled up. As for the previous 2, this one is at 70, this one is at 50, this one is at 82%. So I could try emptying this one a little bit so that these guys have more garbage to burn and produce more power. I know that that is disgusting and really damaging to the environment, but It simply has to be done. I would have like 15 of these landfill sites if I weren't burning the trash. One thing that I almost forgot is this cemetery is getting pretty filled up. It has 1,700 out of 3,000, so I may add a new one out here somewhere. Let's just find a spot for it. Let's say I get a new area here for the services, although I could have simply done it in here when I already have this area mapped out for services. You can see multiple service buildings are in this area, and in between I had placed some trees, so I was trying to break away from the total immersion into grids and like have some nice places. As I was saying, a cemetery over here. Do I have a park close by? Yeah, I do. So no new parks in Earth City. This thing, it has power now. You see now my water capacity is at 480,000 metric tons of water and sewage, and this area here doesn't say I need water any longer because I have connected my two systems, and now both systems are feeding both parts of the city. What is going on here? One train, second train, third train, and the problem being, oh, I see. So this one cannot get out because this one cannot get in, and this one cannot get in because this one cannot get out. Okay, so it was probably my bad for making this area here too short. How do I go about fixing this? Very good question. Now I have a fourth one here. Okay, let me think. Okay, I seem to have thought the solution. Magic! Just kidding, it's not magic. The developers were pretty smart and made a move that if something gets stuck for too long, it will just be teleported so your city can keep on working. But it is obviously a problem that I will need to find a solution to, so let's go about it like this. This zone, bulldoze, pause the game, bulldoze once again. Bulldoze, bulldoze, bulldoze. Flying trains, yeah. Okay, now why did I bulldoze it? Well, because I need to change its path a little bit. So instead of going this way, it's gonna go. Okay, if I could just get this to connect with this thing. There we go. Finally. Okay, so hopefully now there will be more space for these trains to fit and not cut off each other when they're exiting the station. I'll have to keep an eye on this. But hopefully I fixed it. It did take some space away from me, but it is to be expected. Alright, so I believe that should be enough for this video. Thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for more.